Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dharmshaw, and in this video I'm going to tell you how you can improve your sleep. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is mindset. A lot of times when we want to improve our sleep, we actually need to have the desire to improve our sleep. I really believe that the stuff that we do in our daily life is stuff that we actually want to do. We may think that we don't have control over our life, and we may want to think that I don't want to do something, but you kind of have freedom to do whatever you want unless you're like arrested or something. But you have the ability to do whatever you want. So whenever you are doing something, it's because you want to do it deep inside. You may justify it as, oh, I need to study a couple more hours because I need to take a test. Like I really want to sleep, I really need to sleep, but you're still studying, or like, oh, I really need to sleep, but you're still playing video games. It's because you really don't want to sleep. For me, that was the first step in admitting to myself is that, hey, I just don't want to sleep. When it comes to the night, I much rather just watch some random YouTube videos or, just scroll on my phone or something like that. Back in the day. Now I don't really do any of that. I just kind of read. I kind of journal. So it's good to admit to yourself that, hey, I just don't want to sleep, And I think that's the first step of being honest with yourself. And it's the first step that you need to take in order to start building your sleep routine and improving your sleep. So I think that's the first mindset. Really ask yourself, why do I really want to sleep? Because it's okay to admit that, hey, I don't want to sleep. And then you need to just, once you admit that, then you can start building around that. Then you need to also ask yourself, why do you want to sleep? Obviously, we need sleep. 100% we need sleep. No matter what, we need sleep physiologically and biologically just for our body and our systems to continue. But it can get deeper than that. Like, why do you want to sleep, Because I think when we struggle with sleeping, there's a reason why we don't want to sleep. Usually it's because the next day is going to be stressful. There's a lot on our plate. We just kind of want to keep the good pleasure, because a lot of the times when we do sleep, the next morning we have to go to work, we have to go to school. The activities that we have during the day aren't as pleasurable. But it's really important to ask yourself, why do you want to get good sleep? For me, the main reason was, as I'm getting older, now I'm 22, I just need high quality sleep in order to be normal and functional the next morning in order to reach my goals. So that was one of the big incentives why I needed to sleep, and I wanted to improve the quality of my sleep so I can work out in the gym, just be a more social, be a person. When I don't get sleep, I'm kind of dead. I'm like a zombie, and I'm already more of an introverted person. So when I need to be social, it's already pretty hard. It gets pretty difficult if I don't get the sleep. So that was like one of the incentives I've had to improve your sleep. So you got to ask yourself, why do you want to improve your sleep? Do you want to get better grades? Do you want to do better at work? Do you want to perform better? Do you want to get better at making videos? So you really got to ask yourself, why do you want to sleep? Because once you ask that and have a bigger purpose for why you're trying to improve your sleep, it'll be much easier to improve your sleep. Another thing I want to mention is anxiety. I think my biggest issues when it comes to sleep is anxiety, and it stems from this fear of the next day, of this fear of uncertainty of that you don't know what's going to happen, and it always feels like I'm hyper vigilant, always on. So if you're struggling with sleep and it's more anxiety based, such as insomnia, as soon as you get in the bed, your brain just starts thinking a lot of stuff. It's important to understand that you may just be scared. You may just have this fear deep inside, and I think it's going to take a lot longer and probably more inner work that you need to do, reflecting and really digging in deep why you're always on or always in this fight or flight and why you're scared, Because a lot of times in our modern world, there's nothing that we need to, unless you're doing some physical jobs such as construction, you actually might die the next day, if something goes wrong. A lot of the fears we have aren't physical. That's what, at least for me, a lot of the fears I've had about the next day are not physical. They're mainly just like uncertainty based, maybe I'll get yelled at, maybe something will go wrong. And I think that because at least I am, and you may be too, prone to this anxiety, it's important to really dig in and see where in your childhood did this anxiety get caused. Because a lot of the trauma and a lot of the way and the reasons we are today is because of our childhood. A lot of the times anxiety is just a survival mechanism, I was watching a Dr. K video, I'll link it down below. He mentioned the fact that when we're a kid, the reason we get anxiety is that because when you're a little kid, you can't really control the situation, All you can do is think about it. You can just think about all these contingencies. You can just think about all the different loopholes and all the different ways that you can solve it. But I think that's very unnecessary because ultimately we cannot control people. We can't control the world. We can just control our actions. And ultimately, anxiety is useless. Obviously, it served us back then, but now it's not. It's preventing us from sleeping and it's preventing us from being our best selves. So it's very important to, I think, dig in and look back in your past to see why you may have this anxiety and why you may always have this fight or flight on. So looking back in the past, there's obviously some childhood traumatic stuff that I went through. It's nothing drastic, but obviously like I have anxiety. So somewhere in the past I probably had something that gave me anxiety for some reason, and it's important to dig deep and figure out why. Maybe there's a teacher you're scared at, maybe it's your parents. There's a lot of things that you can have as a kid that can develop into anxiety, and it's important to dig deep and kind of reflect. It's really important to reflect and look back to see why you are the way you are, because this all ties into sleeping. So facts, let's just get to the tips. Those are some mindsets. So the first tip I have is that you want to sleep consistently at the same time. Obviously I'm not perfect, and I know some people sleep at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. I usually try to get in bed by 11:30, 12 a.m. and try to be sleeping by 12:1. I know that's not as healthy, but hey, it's a lot better than what I was last year in San Diego, sleeping at 2 or 3 a.m. So I'll take it. I'm making progress, so I'm proud of that. And I also try to sleep consistently around the same time and wake up around the same time, around 8 to 9 a.m. That's just because I work at the clinic. I have to wake up at 8, so I try to keep that consistently. And it's a lot easier when you're falling asleep at the same time and waking up at the same time. On our next point, it's important to calm yourself down with this next tip as well, with meditation. I recommend using Headspace sleep meditation. I think that helps me a lot. I think once you just deep breathe and you try to relax your entire body, that really helps me just, kind of get into the state of peace, which kind of ties into what I mentioned before about anxiety, is that when you hit the bed and your mind is going. And one thing I noticed because of meditation is that when we are tense, when we are in fight or flight, you'll notice that your entire body's tense. And when your entire body's tense, it's going to be really hard to fall asleep, as that sympathetic nervous system is kicking in and it's making you fight or flight. In order for the best sleep, we need the parasympathetic nervous system to turn on, which is our rest and digest system. So in order to get that, you really need to calm yourself down. Meditation is really useful for that, or has really helped me out, because usually before I sleep, I take deep breaths and I just try to really relax my entire body. Just on the bed, I just try to relax and let go of my legs, my feet, my thighs, my chest, my arms, and just kind of relax. Because, when you relax, you feel really good. Meditation and calming yourself down before sleep is a huge factor in improving your quality of sleep and helping you fall asleep faster. I also think magnesium glycinate is something that you can take to help with anxiety, and which can help with sleep. So a lot of the problems I dealt with sleep are anxiety based, and magnesium glycinate for me pretty much just eliminates anxiety. And for a lot of people, we're actually magnesium deficit. I recommend you looking into taking magnesium glycinate supplements, as it helps me a lot. I've been taking it for about 2 years right now, and whenever I do take it, my anxiety, I'm just much more calmer, because we do use magnesium for a lot of our processes in our body. And I'm not really sure of the specifics. I know magnesium is an essential nutrient, and I should know it coming from a science and health background, but I don't really care. It helps my heart, helps my anxiety, and helps with sleep, because they're all connected, Anxiety, sleep, heart rate, relaxation is all connected. Because when you're fired up, your heart rate's going up, and when your heart rate's going up, your body's on alert. If your body's alert, even if it's in bed, it's sensing some sort of threat that your mind is generating. So it's important for all these stuff is to just calm down your mind, so you can then calm down your body, or calm down your body and you can calm down your mind. They're both very much interconnected, as the brain body, we're all one system. So magnesium glycinate helps calm down the heart, helps just make processes in the body go smoother, thus calming down your mind. Journaling, I think, is super important, and I think is super useful in helping you improve the quality of your sleep. Many of the times we kind of hold thoughts in our brain, but before I sleep, I always journal. I always ask myself 2 questions: what made me sad today and what made me happy today? And I have some notes that I write down based on my reflections. I reflect like every single night. I think it's super important for me to just look back on my day to see what made me sad, what made me happy, so then I can optimize the next day to make myself more happy. Because when we are happier and we're more satisfied with our days, it's a lot easier to go to sleep. A lot of the times I had this issue where I would try to go to sleep and I'd be constantly thinking about, oh, I should have done this, I could have done that, I could have done this. When you are focusing on optimizing your day and using your day most productively, when you go to sleep, you're just gonna want to sleep. You're like, hey, I'm satisfied with this day. There's nothing else I want to do, And when you're satisfied and you're using your day productively, you're less likely to go scroll and look for dopamine in the night, such as on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, stuff like that, social media, and just kind of like prolonging the sleep because you don't want to sleep because you're not satisfied with your day. Your day wasn't productive enough, where deep inside you're like, oh, you still want to do more. That's why you look watching Netflix late into the night because you're just looking for more dopamine, which you should have gotten early in the day by doing more productive stuff. I guess that also leads into the instant delayed gratification stuff that is very popular out there. The more delayed gratification activities you do that are actually helping you get to your goal, the more satisfied you're going to feel, and the less likely you're going to crave instant or cheap dopamine from such as like drugs or such as the magic rocks in social media. So I think when you journal and you write down sad first, then happy, your mind's already going to be in a more positive mindset because you're not going to be thinking about the stuff that made you sad. You're going to think about the stuff that made you happy. And I think when you look at what made you happy, you can start building from a positive mindset. And I think whenever we build from a positive mindset, it just gets us more excited for the next day. It just kind of calms us down because we're not anxious about the next day. We're excited for the next day. So we can't wait to go to sleep versus when you're anxious about the next day, you don't want to go to sleep. So that mindset switch that you gain from journaling, I feel like is super valuable. And that is something I do every single night. So there's also a couple things that you can do to improve your sleep scientifically, such as making sure your bedroom is cool enough. I have a lot of fans that I always have running in the night that cools my bedroom down. I also just need the white noise to fall asleep. It's just something that I'm used to growing up. Also, you can have blackout curtains on your windows. Now since daylight savings has ended or whatever, the sun peaks around my window at like 7, which is perfect because that's when I need to wake up. So it kind of worked out. But a way to perfect your sleep is getting blackout curtains, which completely black out the light. That's super useful. I don't have them. I should get them, but I don't really need them because I kind of like myself. I kind of like the sun waking me up because that's when I need to wake up. So it kind of works out for me. Since we are light-based creatures, when light enters our eyes, it kind of alerts us. And so that goes to another point where in the morning, if you get morning sunlight, it kind of sets a circadian rhythm. The whole adenosine thing kind of peaks. It kind of sets, so when you see sun in the morning, adenosine is going to start building up. So by the time it gets to nighttime, you're going to be naturally sleepier because we're seeing light right in the morning. Also seeing evening sunlight is super beneficial as well, as spoken by Andrew Huberman. And seeing that evening sunlight, that sunsets, kind of signals to our body like, hey, it's time to wrap up the night. And then you're going to be more likely to fall asleep because of the whole circadian rhythm adenosine stuff. You could also put tape over your mouth. I think tape over my mouth has been super beneficial because this forces you to nose breathe. And I think when we do nose breathe, at least for me, my mind just gets shut off and I'm just breathing. You can put like paper tape. Sometimes I think paper tape works the best because it stays on for most of the night. If it gets off, it's chill. And I do notice the days that I do put on the tape over my mouth, I'm getting much more quality sleep. It feels like I'm much more refreshed the next day. Melatonin is something that I recommend if you're really struggling to sleep as well. When I was first trying to improve my sleep, I did rely on melatonin every now and then just to shut off my brain for the anxiety part. And I think this all kind of comes together. I think melatonin is super useful, but I think I have experience when I do take melatonin that the next morning I am kind of groggy. So I think it depends on you and your preferences, but I recommend that you take melatonin in the beginning of when you're trying to improve the quality of sleep, and combined with all the other tips that I gave you this video, you can kind of cycle off melatonin, because I don't think it's good to rely on a substance such as melatonin to help you fall asleep, because then naturally you're not going to be able to fall asleep, and when you don't have melatonin it will kind of hurt you. So I recommend that you kind of start it when you're starting the sleep improvement journey, and then when you feel comfortable, kind of cycle off and practice all the things that I mentioned before, such as journaling, calming down anxiety, magnesium, blackout lights, blackout curtains, tape over your mouth, journaling, meditation. And I think by the time it's nighttime, we need to be fully calmed down and satisfied with your day. So I hope you're able to get some value, and I hope that you're able to improve your sleep, because we definitely need sleep in order to reach our goals and be happier. So thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and let's grow together.